Good morning from Seattle. It's about 6:30 in the morning right now. Didn't get a whole lot of sleep. Heading to Canada today by boat. So driving for about an hour and a half up to a place called Anacortes, where I keep my boat. And then off to Canada through the San Juan Islands. So should be a long day. Well, running a bit late this morning, which meant I didn't make coffee because I didn't feel like getting out of bed, but I ran into my neighbor who just dropped his daughter off at work, and he actually just gave me coffee, so pays to have good neighbors. I think I owe him a beer or 10. Made it to my marina. They're just taking the boat out of storage. It's actually stored on a shelf indoors, and they have to forklift it into the water. So actually took a meeting from a car while I got here. I spent an hour working so far this morning. It's about an hour and a half boating to Canada. You have to go through customs as well, which is literally just a phone booth somewhere, like in a marina. There's a bunch of different marinas that have them, but I'll be going through in Sydney, British Columbia today. Boat hasn't been started since May, so see if it actually turns on. Yep, it's gonna need a jump. Battery is nearly dead, but I actually managed to get it running somehow without jumping it, which is nice. So had to try and turn the engine over for, almost 2 minutes, but it's running. It's a 5-liter V12 Mercruiser. I also want it to be known, I buy carbon offsets for everything I do, which I know is not perfect, but given how much I travel and go boating and stuff, I actually offset all the carbon that I buy. Offset all the carbon I use with carbon offsets. I do about double. I actually buy double the offsets what I actually produce. So, I'm trying to do my part. There's a little bit of wind. Going about 40 knots or 46 miles an hour now. Never been passed on the water here by any other boat. Really calm day, so you can actually go almost full throttle. I'm keeping it around, probably 90% of full throttle, just to save some fuel. Next stop, I'm gonna stop for fuel. I don't have to, but I want to show up not totally empty. And it's cheaper in the US than in Canada. So I'm gonna stop for fuel. Stopping for gas really quick here on Blakely Island. I'm actually pretty close to full, but I want to check if the gas station actually works. I've almost been stranded here before without gas because the gas station wasn't working. So I just want to see if it's working because I haven't been here in about a year. And I'm using about a year-old gas, and so mixing in some less stale stuff's not probably the worst idea. So self-service gas station here. Should probably actually park. So I'm gonna stop filming. Well, that fuel stop was interesting. I filled up no problem. The gas station works just fine, but my fuel cap chain, the thing that actually holds the fuel cap for the boat on, decided to break, and the fuel cap's now at the bottom of the ocean. So I had to rig up, cut a towel up, shove that into the gas hole so I don't get any water in there, and then duct taped a plastic bag onto it. So yeah, that's my gas cap for the next few days. I'm going to Salt Spring today, which is about 100 kilometers from where I started in Anacortes. I'm going to Vancouver on Friday. From there, and so I guess that's gonna be my gas cap until I can buy a new one somewhere. That's fun. It's always an interesting experience boating. You gotta be prepared for everything. This is why you keep a bunch of random stuff you never know when you're gonna need. Up on the right there, you can see Orcas Island. It's one of the biggest of the San Juan Islands. And then on the left there is Sean Island. We're going to be going between the two in a second here. It's always really flat in there compared to the rest of it around here. So it's the San Juan Islands. They actually run up to the Canadian border. And then they turn into what's called the Gulf Islands on the other side. So I'm going to one of the larger of the Gulf Islands, which is Salt Spring. My dad lives there, so heading over there. And a bunch of my family's going to be there. We're going to have somewhat of a family reunion. Border customs going into Canada. It's probably one of the more strict. You have to be vaccinated, or if you're not, you can't enter unless you're a citizen. And then you have to quarantine for 14 days. You also need a PCR test. It's not like Europe where it's one or the other. You have to have the test within 72 hours. It has to be PCR. Then you also have to have your vaccine. Fully vaccinated. One dose is not okay. Unless it's Johnson & Johnson, I guess. And then you also have to announce your arrival prior to entry on the ArrivalCan app. ArriveCan, it's called. It's just a smartphone app. So you enter all your information in there, take a photo of your vaccine card, etc. And then you also have to have a plan to quarantine in case they determine that you're not eligible for exemption from the quarantine. So you have to have a plan in place where you can quarantine for those 14 days if necessary. They were also requiring testing, but I don't know if that's the case anymore. When I went last time, a little over a month ago, when it was not open to U.S. citizens, they required that you actually get tested, or at the actual border. So they would provide you a test kit, whatnot. I think they got rid of that. The positivity rate on those was like, 0.1% or something. So, not really worth it. So I think they determined that they didn't need those anymore. But I'm not quite sure. We will find out. Over here, you can actually see one of the Washington State ferries. That'll actually take you out to the islands. It's just like a normal way to get out here. Super pretty ferry ride, honestly. You can see we're going a little bit faster than them. Probably about 3 times their speed. So we're going to blow past them here in a second. A little bit faster in this boat than taking the ferry. You can see here, there's a lot of little islands all over the place in this area. See the big mountains off in the distance, past that island, past the island right in front there. See the big mountains off in the distance. That's Canada, Vancouver Island. It's the largest island in the area by a lot. It's actually about the size of Belgium. And it's just one island, so it gives you an idea of the size of Canada. And you can't tell, but all the islands we see up there are actually Canada. We're currently in the U.S. still, but the border is show up, although I have heard stories of people who didn't go and they found them. So I assume they have some sort of radar, or they're using satellites to track boats. I'm not sure exactly what they're doing, but I'm sure they're actually tracking it somehow. But yeah, it's kind of like customs used to be pre-2001. It was a lot more relaxed when you went between Canada and the U.S. You can use your driver's license, or no ID was fine sometimes. Very much more relaxed. Boating is still somewhat similar. You still have to take it seriously. It's not like you still have to talk to a border guard, declare everything you're bringing in, declare all your passengers, all this other stuff. It's just as thorough, but I guess it feels a little bit more, feels a little bit less serious than because you just parked your boat on a dock somewhere. And so in a couple seconds here, we're going to be in Canada. That line on the GPS is Canada. Interestingly, even if you enter Canada, you can actually go right back to the U.S. as long as you don't talk to anybody or go on land or anything else. As soon as you do that, you got to go through customs again, going back. And here we are. We're now in Canada. So, doesn't feel any different. Looks identical. But just crossed an international border. Made it to Sydney, British Columbia. A little bit less sunny here, but it's kind of normal with this island. Yeah, coming into the Port of Sydney here. There's a customs dock. There's no people there. It's just a phone booth. But you can still do customs there. I think there's like 3 or 4 right in this area where you can actually just stop and there's like a phone, you pick it up, do customs. Normally they let you go, or at least pre-COVID, they normally let you go before or without anybody showing up. Whether or not they will today, I'm not sure. I had to estimate my arrival, which it's 1 minute until my estimated arrival time, so I did pretty well actually. I estimated it about 2 days ago. And so we'll see if they're actually waiting for me. I know that the Victoria International Airport, which is right close to here, it's closed to international flights, so it's possible that they're not, they don't have a whole lot to do, so they might come see me for that reason. Back on the water. Weather's a little bit worse up here in Canada, apparently. Customs was easy, they were there, but I just called in and no problems whatsoever. So I'm actually almost at Salt Spring. I had to take a meeting from the water. A little bit slower than I thought I'd be, but not a big deal. Well, it's been a few days since I made it to Salt Spring. Ended up meeting my family on the dock and not filming for a few days, just because a family reunion and I hadn't seen them in a long time. So called this video here. It ended up being longer than expected. So come back soon and join me boating to Vancouver.